What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today I have an awesome review for you guys. We are going to be checking out the brand new MINI Drey that was released by Dryad Saddles here in 2022. So the first thing that I want to say is thank you to Dane over at Dryad Saddles for sending me the MINI Drey ahead of schedule. I greatly appreciate this opportunity to work together, and I hope there's more opportunity for us to work together here in the future. But real quick, in this video, we're going to quickly talk about the specifications. I'm not going to spend too much time on the MINI Drey because it is a very simplistic setup. And then from here, I will take you guys outside and I will show you how I'm planning on running the MINI Drey in conjunction with the Killdeer as a hybrid setup on my Lone Wolf Custom Gear 0.5. And then I will show you how I'm planning on running this as my primary saddle hunting setup on my Lone Wolf Custom Gear fixed saddle platform. The MINI Drey is constructed of the exact same nylon material that was used on the original Drey. Now this is a very heavy duty nylon material. It is weight rated for 300 pounds, but please keep in mind this thing is not intended to be used without a Killdeer harness or a similar rock style climbing harness. This thing does require you to have two attachment points, the first one being into the belay of the Killdeer, and then the second one is going to be a separate prusik knot and separate carabiner setup on your lineman's rope, and that's what you will attach the MINI Drey to. Again, this is not intended to be used all by itself. Now, one of the biggest differences between the MINI Drey versus the original Drey is obviously the size. This thing is very small. It is more in line with your traditional style saddle setups. You are not going to be able to go full cocoon in the MINI Drey like you could on the original Drey. Now, also one of the bigger changes that you'll probably notice right off the bat is Dane decided to go with a nylon webbing bridge versus the am steel that was included on the original Drey. Now, this nylon webbing, I've tested this out in the back, and I would say that this is basically a frictionless setup if you're using a carabiner that doesn't have any type of tape installed on it. If you add tape, it's going to basically create too much friction, and you'll still be able to rotate, but it's going to take a lot more effort as if you were to just run that without any tape on your carabiner. And again, you'll see that a little bit later in the video. Now, Dane also used Austria Alpine buckles on that bridge, and that is going to give you the ability to easily adjust that bridge by taking slack or adding slack to it. And then in addition, there are also two pull tabs on the side that will also allow you to add slack or remove slack from the system. Now, if you're like myself and you're someone who has a weaker lower back, you're basically going to pull slack from that system and it's going to give you that additional back support. Now, if you're someone who likes to have less support on your lower back and kind of sit a little further back in your saddle, it is a very easy adjustment with those pull tabs on the side. Now, this is a very lightweight, minimalistic setup. The MINI Drey in the burr stuff sack is coming in at 10.8 ounces. Now, if I weigh this as a complete system with the Killdeer, it's coming in at 1 pound 6 ounces. So again, very lightweight, very minimalistic. Now, when attaching the MINI Drey to the Killdeer, it really couldn't be any easier. On the back of the burr, there are two open loops that you're just going to slide onto the Killdeer belt. Now, what's really nice about these wide open loops is it gives you the ability to freely move this along the Killdeer belt. So if you're like myself and you like to slide this to your back as you're hiking in, you're going to have that ability to do so, and then you can just easily slide it to your side so you can access your MINI Drey when you're up in your tree stand or your saddle platform. But without further ado, let's go ahead, let's jump outside. I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to run this as a hybrid setup on my Lone Wolf Custom Gear 0.5, and then I'll also show you how I'm going to be running this as my primary saddle hunting setup going into the 2022 season. Alright, so as we already talked about, I'm going to show you how you can basically use the MINI Drey and the Lone Wolf Custom Gear 0.5 as a hybrid setup. And really, you'd be able to use this on any type of traditional style hang-on platform in conjunction with the Killdeer. Now, one of the biggest benefits of having hybrid type setup is you're never going to find the perfect tree, right? You may find a tree that just doesn't have ample amount of coverage, and sometimes it's better to actually have the tree positioned in front of you versus behind you. And having the MINI Drey and being able to run this as a hybrid setup is really going to be extremely beneficial. But real quick, without further ado, let's go ahead, let's deploy the MINI Drey, and let me show you guys how I'm going to use this as a hybrid setup. So being that you have it in the burr, you know, it's easily accessible. Basically just grab this thing, throw it over your shoulder, and then you're going to stand up and then just go ahead and clip in to the additional prusik knot that you have installed on your lineman's belt. Now, once you do that, you can basically go ahead and just deploy the MINI Drey, get it into position, and then from here, you can see that you're basically running this as a hybrid setup now. So you can take a little bit of slack out of your belay loop, take the slack, tie it into your top carabiner, just kind of get it out of the way. And then what I'm going to do is basically flip that, and being that I have a seat pocket on the bottom of my Lone Wolf Custom Gear 0.5, I can use that as my knee pad. If you don't have a seat pocket, you can just flip the seat pad itself and use that as a knee pad. Now, for me, I'll probably honestly run this up a little bit, and then that gives me a little bit more comfort, helps position my knees a little bit better on that seat pad. But as you can see, now you're basically using the Lone Wolf Custom Gear 0.5 as a saddle platform, and really you're getting the best of both worlds. Very compact system. You have lots of room that you can move around on. With having obviously a tree stand, you're going to be able to shoot your strong side and your weak side. You'll be able to get around the tree. Now the only thing that kind of limits you on this type of setup is being able to swing around and shoot behind the tree. Now, I feel like with lots of practice, you could probably get pretty good at doing this. However, that is one limitation, because obviously if you side load this tree stand, you're going to have a little bit of concern as far as this thing kicking out. Now, obviously you could try to position your foot up onto the tree, take a little bit of pressure off the stand or on the lower part of that stand. But if you put your foot kind of at that tree bracket, and I would not recommend doing this if you're not running a bottom strap, but if you're running a bottom strap and that thing's tight enough and you know it's secure, obviously you can put your foot on the back of that bracket so you're not putting too much leverage on the front of the stand. And then as you can see, I can position myself to shoot the backside of the tree. Now I'm putting a little bit of bounce on this. I don't want to put too much because I don't want this thing to kick out. But obviously you can see, do have the ability to shoot the backside of the tree. You just got to get used to it and get comfortable with it. But being able to run this in a hybrid setup is going to be extremely beneficial, because like I said, you're not always faced with the situation where you just have ample amount of coverage. There's going to be times where having the tree in front of you is going to be extremely beneficial in a hunting situation, and having the ability to shift on the fly, like I said, is going to be priceless in some hunting situations. Now, what's also really nice about the MINI Drey is you do have these side tabs that allow you to take slack out. So if you want to lean a little bit more, you can, or if you're like myself, you have a weaker lower back, you can tighten those up, take slack out, and it's going to provide a little bit of back support. But overall, this thing is super comfortable. I like the upgrade from the Amsteel bridge to the webbing bridge. I feel like it basically really is almost like frictionless. So it gives you the ability to rotate through that carabiner very easily. So if you're a left-handed or right-handed shooter, you're going to have the ability to get in position very quickly without getting hung up. But real quick, let's go ahead, let's shift over to the saddle platform, because I feel like this is probably where most people are going to use or utilize the MINI Drey. Alright, so here we are on the Lone Wolf Custom Gear fixed saddle platform using the MINI Drey as a traditional style saddle harness. Obviously with this, you're not going to have the concern of side loading this platform too much because you only have that one contact point. This thing locks to the tree very good. And you also don't have to worry about the cables getting in the way either. So like I said, the fluidness of this, if you're a left-handed shooter and you want to shoot your weak side of the tree, either that, or if you're a right-handed shooter and you want to shoot that weak side, you're going to have that ability to shoot behind you, no problem. Plenty of support through the hips and through the back to be able to execute a clean kill. And then this really demonstrates the fluidness of this webbing versus that traditional style bridge that they used on the original Drey with the Amsteel. Like I said, this thing is basically frictionless, really allows you to rotate very quickly, very fluidly, and then like I said, gives you the ability to transition along the tree and gives you a ton of support. Now obviously with hunting out of a saddle, you're going to want some type of knee pad. I don't have one here for this demonstration, but if you just wanted to go ahead and sit, or if you wanted to run this up a little bit higher, go ahead, run that Prusik knot a little bit higher, and then basically puts a little bit more of that weight in your legs versus in the hips. So, and that's one thing that I've been learning with the saddle, because I am new to saddle hunting this year. But that's one thing that I've realized is that you do have a lot more flexibility to adjust your comfort level than you do with a traditional style hang-on stand if you're not using it as a hybrid setup or as a hybrid setup. So obviously with the saddle, if you want to take some of that pressure off your legs, lower your Prusik knot down a little bit, distribute some of that weight into the hips a little bit more, and then again just put you in a situation where you're going to be able to do some of those longer all-day sits and stay comfortable. But this thing is awesome. I'm really happy. We're very excited to check this thing out. And the good thing about this is it's only going to be roughly about $100. So if you already have the Killdeer harness, adding this is like I said, is pretty inexpensive. And then you're going to get really the best of both worlds, in my opinion. You have a traditional style harness or a rock climbing style harness that you can use out of a traditional style stand, and then you have the ability to shift over to a saddle platform. So for me, not being someone that saddle hunts 100% of the time, just having more gear complicates things more. It's just one more thing that you have to get used to before you go out into the woods. Whereas like having a system like this, being able to run it as both is really extremely beneficial and a game changer in my opinion. And I feel like it was a great addition to the Dryad lineup to add the MINI Drey. I know me personally, I've reached out to Dane in the past before I really got to know him and asked him if he was going to be releasing like a smaller hammock or a smaller saddle setup versus the original Drey, and that's when he told me that they were coming out with the MINI Drey. Now now Dane sent me this ahead of time, so I've gotten to play around with it a little bit more. And one thing I do want to mention is Dane is also going to be releasing straps that attach to the MINI Drey and then also to the Killdeer. So when you stand up, you're not going to have to worry about this thing dropping away. I know on the original Drey, it's not so much of an issue because the original Drey is actually sewn in to the pocket, whereas the MINI Drey is not. But those, like I said, those additional straps that he's going to sell either separately or as a package will keep this thing from falling down on you when you do stand up. So that's going to be a nice adder as well. But like I said, I'm excited to see those new straps. I should have them here this week and I'll be able to play around with them. But ton of adjustment, ton of flexibility, definitely ton of support to be able to shift over to your strong side, weak side. The fluidness, this thing is just outstanding. Extremely lightweight, extremely breathable. Not going to get a ton of pressure points like you would with a traditional style harness. So really a game changer and a nice add to the Dryad lineup. But that's it for this video. If you guys got any other questions, you can always leave me a comment. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Your guys' support greatly helps us out. And if you guys have not checked out MichiganAmbushOutdoors.com, please go over there. We do have some merch available, and your guys' purchases of that merch greatly supports this channel, keeps us doing what we're doing. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you on the next one.